All right, turning now to the war in Ukraine. The capital, Kyiv, endured a night of drone attacks. That's according to officials there. The military says all the 16 drones, which it claims are Iranian made, ended up destroyed, although some damage ended up being caused by explosions. This latest attack comes after Russia launched another wave of missile strikes across Ukraine yesterday, leading to some power outages and several injuries. For more, we're joined by Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis. He's a senior fellow and military expert at Defense Priorities. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. So that latest series of missile strikes, it's similar to what we've been seeing for several months now in Russia. They're targeting energy infrastructure, causing those power outages. So what do you make of this situation now as a whole?
Yeah, this was the 10th massive round of missile strikes that happened not before last. And then it was augmented this past night by a actually pretty widespread kamikaze drone strikes. And it wasn't just those in Kyiv. And it appears that most and possibly even all of the drones were shot down over Kyiv. But there were like another dozen or so other cities around the country where they didn't have quite that much success. And in fact, it looks like the targets of this second round were not the energy infrastructure, but the military infrastructure. Some of the missiles from the previous night actually were shooting for the anti-aircraft system. So it looks like Russia's trying to further degrade Russia's ability, or Ukraine's ability, to have anti-aircraft missiles. And it looks like they had some degree of success, but Ukraine is still, to their credit, being able to knock down a pretty sizable percentage of them.
It's still after 10 months after this all began. And you wrote a piece recently expressing skepticism over Washington's continued financial and military support of Ukraine. So if you could explain sort of your thinking there, and do you think the U.S. should stop funding Ukraine's war effort altogether?
Yeah, the piece that I wrote there in 1945 that you're talking about was basically saying, hey, we need to have some burden shifting going on and a recognition that Europe has actually much more at stake in this whole situation than the United States does. And it shouldn't be that the United States has to carry a massive burden, now up to $100 billion just in this one calendar year, when the biggest European country is at about $15 to $12 billion. And I believe that it's very appropriate that the United States can help Ukraine, for sure. That's what we've been doing. But it's also important that the United States not just say, hey, we're going to cover for you, Europe, and we're going to take care of all the heavy lifting so you don't have to. Because remember, this is not a treaty ally we're talking about. This is somebody we're helping. And most importantly, we have to keep American national security interests up front, and we can't deplete our own sources and our own finances to our own harm.